What's up everybody, how's it going? Today's video is going to be on the OBS build. I was on the freeway the other day and I was driving about 70 miles an hour and all of a sudden it just turned off on me and I have no idea why. Obviously something broke in the engine or something. Good thing is I looked under it, there's no leaking, the radiator fluid's not leaking anywhere. So I don't think it's anything really bad. But first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to check for spark, and then hopefully it's got spark, and if it does, then I guess I'm going to have to check fuel, and if it has fuel, then I guess I'm going to check something else, who knows. But first things first, let's go ahead and check the spark. Oh, by the way, it cranks over, the engine cranks over just fine. I don't know if there's compression or not, but the engine cranks over. So I bought this cool little tool the other day from Napa. That way I can check the spark. It's really cool. You don't even have to take the spark plug out. All you do is pull the spark plug wire off and then plug it into this cool little tool. Let me show you. So this is what I bought from Napa Auto Parts. It's a electronic ignition spark tester. So like I said, basically you just pull the spark plug wire off, connect it to this, and then attach this to a grounded part of your engine, you know, either the block or something that's grounded, and then go ahead and crank the engine and it should give sparks right here. I think the white thing should spark to the metal outer edge of that. So we'll see. Let me go plug it in and let's see if the truck has spark. Oh, and by the way, I even checked the truck with my OBD2 scanner and nothing comes up. So whatever happened in the engine wasn't registered on the computer for some reason. So this kind of isn't even helpful to me. So the first thing I did once it broke down on the side of the freeway, I kind of just looked over the whole engine and there's nothing visibly wrong. There's nothing leaking, there's no hole in the engine or anything, you know, everything looks like it should. So it's something electronic or something internal. But let's go ahead and plug this cool little tool in and we'll see if we have spark. Let's try that piece of metal there. Alright, since I don't have anybody here to look at the spark plug while I go crank the engine, I'm going to leave this camera on recording, and then that way when I get done I can watch the recording and see if there was any spark. So as you've seen there was no spark. So I just moved the little spark plug thing to a different spot. I connected it to the bolt right there on the headers. Hopefully they're a little rusted, but hopefully that gives it a ground. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe I didn't have it grounded right. But let's try it again and we'll record it and see if there's spark. So as you can see, I wasn't getting any spark from this thing. So now I'm going to check the wire that goes from the coil to the distributor. I'm going to pull it off of the distributor and then we'll connect it to this little spark plug thing and we'll see if the coil is delivering a spark. So I was getting ready to plug this wire into the spark plug here, but this thing right here is too small to go over the top of that spark plug. So I think what I got to do here is unscrew this piece of the spark plug. I'll just leave it right there. And then it should be able to plug in now, I think. It's hard to do it with one hand. Let me set the camera down. So I got it grounded to the bolt on this thermostat housing. Hopefully that's a good enough ground for it. So let's go ahead and crank it over and see if the coil will deliver this little spark plug some electricity. Alright, so at this point I've checked the spark plug wires for spark, didn't get any spark. Now I just checked the coil wire to see if that would give this thing some spark, and that didn't work either. So at this point I'm thinking it's either the coil is bad, or the power going to the coil isn't working. I'm not sure, but I think this might be a cheap part. I don't know if I want to go ahead and just buy it and put it in and see if it works. And I'm hoping this thing actually really works like they say it should, but I wasn't getting any spark from it. I might go ahead and plug it into one of my other cars and see if I can get it to work on one of those, because I wasn't getting any spark out of this vehicle. But yeah, it's either this thing doesn't work or the coil in this truck is bad, which could be the reason why it turned off on me on the freeway. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is first I'm going to check this in my other car, see if it works, and then if it works, then I'm probably just going to go buy a coil for this truck and just start with that, since I'm not getting any spark at all from that. Okay, so I took the little spark plug thing and plugged it into one of my other cars, a car that I just got and I want to feature on the channel eventually. But for right now, we're going to see if it has spark. Okay, go. So as you've seen there, this car does make this thing spark. Alright, so I just got back from the auto parts store. I went and purchased this coil. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on and hope for the best. So this is the stock ignition coil. To get it off of the mounting bracket, you literally have to grind off the rivets that they had going through it on both sides. And then this can come off, because the aftermarket one from the store just comes like this. And the only way to mount it onto the bracket is by taking off the rivets here, because for some reason they used some sort of rivet rather than just bolting it on there. So I got the little rivets heads grinded off, so now I'm going to try to get like one of my old screwdrivers or something with a pointy tip, and then try to just use a hammer and get the rest of that out of there or something. Let's see. So I just took this and stuck it there and kind of just hammered down on it a little bit. As you can see, the little rivets are going through. So I just got to get something in there and hammer it down a little bit more, and it should come out. So what ended up working better was just using a drill bit and drilling out the rest of the rivet, because I was trying to hammer them out and it was getting really hard to do. So I ended up just taking the drill bit and sticking it right there on the hole, and it came right out of the bracket. So this is the old one. There's the new one. Look pretty identical. So all I gotta do is mount the new one to the two holes right there, and then put it back on this bracket right here, and then we'll plug it into the truck and we'll see if it starts. So this is what it should look like after you put the new aftermarket coil pack onto the stock mount. And then it'll just mount to the car with these two holes on the bottom. Let's go put it in. Okay, so I got the new coil pack thing mounted up, put back in the car. So let's see if this actually worked. Hopefully it works. We're going to go ahead and give it a crank right now. Let's see. I'll show you what the gauges read when I turn the ignition on. Okay, here we go. Oh my god, it actually started. Can you believe that? It was a fucking coil. Now most of you probably already know this, but this truck runs on a distributor, which usually a distributor just needs one coil. So that's the cool thing about this car, is you don't need a bunch of coils for each spark plug. That's pretty cool. But I can't believe it actually just started. Thank God it wasn't something, you know, that would have been a lot harder to diagnose. So that means that this tool here was telling the truth. It really wasn't picking up any spark from the spark plug wires or from the coil itself. So this thing's a cool little tool, because I did plug it into my other car, my new truck, and it did read that there was spark, because obviously that truck runs good. And yeah, so that means this thing works good. So it's a nice little handy tool to have for anytime you want to check spark in your vehicle. You don't have to actually, you know, take the spark plug out of your car, which can be a pain in the ass sometimes. Which all you got to do is just pull the plug wire off and just plug it into this, and you're good. And you'll find out if there's spark or not. So yeah, that will conclude this video. As you see, the car is running now. Let's look at the gauges again. It's idling perfect. Yes, there is a check engine light. That's for something else, some misfiring that it does sometimes. But yeah, it's got oil pressure. It's cold, obviously. It's got half a tank of gas. That's why I kind of knew it wasn't the gas, because I'm like, man, I just put gas in this thing, and I can hear the fuel pump priming when I put the ignition on. So yeah, cool. That means all it needed was a new coil. One of my next videos is gonna be revealing a new truck that I got. I'll just say it's a crew cab. It's white, and it's a V8, and it's a 4x4. Yeah, I can't wait to make a video on that. The next video on this truck will be HID install for the headlights. This truck already has HIDs, but one of them went out, and so I'm like, well, screw it, I'm just gonna get rid of that kit, and I bought a brand new kit that I already have here sitting in my garage. I just need to do an installation video on that. And so yeah, that'll be my next video on this truck. I thought there was a chance that this engine was done for, but nope, it's still good. No LS swap just yet. We're gonna keep this V6 going a little bit longer. Alright guys, thanks for watching.